Jon.
How familiar are you with the Salem witch trials?
I'm aware of them. I don't know the details of them, but I'm familiar with the witchcraft. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Well, that's really where I'm going. But the reason that I say that is because I saw something on the Salem witch trials, and I realized that that's one of those things that people kind of cite but never actually know anything truly about. And the story is truly fascinating when you dig into it. But the origins of witchcraft in general, I'm sure you have some sort of idea of. Maybe you could touch on that.
There's sort of different views on this, but we certainly sort of see the creation of witches or this kind of character mentioned over 2,000 years ago. And we sort of see this female figure who can tell the future and forewarn of stuff, and that carries on. And witchcraft, I guess, starts to get a bad rap due to Christianity, but it got particularly bad rap because there was a book written, I want to say something like that. Folklore and that isn't really my strongest subject on that, but there was a book written saying this is how you discover a witch and this is how you should try them. And when that came out and people realised, actually, I can get paid if I say someone's a witch. Like literally, you can walk into your village, see an old lady, say she's a witch, someone will pay you 5 shekels, and boom, she's dunked underwater, and if she survives, she's a witch. And that's probably summarised a little bit too easily, but yes, that's the idea. And although there were a significant number of men killed as well as part of those trials, it wasn't just women. But I think it was just a way. I think initially people were manipulated, and the whole thing was manipulated, but people to make money as much as people really believe people are witches. But it was also a way of Christianity to push itself a bit further, I think. So that's how I really see it in synopsis. But there's some amazing sort of material out there still from old sort of occult books and the like, talking about spells and things that happen. I've made a video about them. But so it is an unfortunate part of our Christianity's history. I know the Vatican has apologised a little about it, but
a little,
not enough, I think, to justify them killing all the people they've killed.
Right. The men within that, were they considered wizards?
Warlocks, I think, is the correct definition for a male witch. But again, because witches are made up, you can call them whatever you want, really, and people are going to argue. So,
What do you then think of, just like the book of spells, the rituals, and all the things behind that? Most witches, most people who would say probably be involved in, I guess you could call that the occult now, let's say that this ritualistic spell type of, practice at least, feel that they are having an effect on...
Yes, absolutely. So it's how you understand magic. So, I don't believe in magic, but I can only give you my opinion on what I've read, because there'll be people who really believe in magic and will say what I'm saying is wrong, and some people say it's right.
Okay.
But magic isn't necessarily strong, so you say abracadabra and someone dies, but it often tends to be a layered approach over much time. So if someone says, I hope he dies, and they say that every day for 10 years, and then suddenly that person dies, they'll attribute it to the fact that the last 10 years they're saying they died, they're done.
Right.
You get what I mean? There's a lot of that. It's all about little. It's described as little bits of magic all accumulating into something happening. If something happening, then obviously that was the magic. It's a confirmation bias of an event.
What about in the past? Did they not have I don't know. Here's one that you always throw, making it rain, changing the weather. I guess I could see them doing the same effect where it's like it hasn't rained for...
Exactly. And who knows? And there's some great stories. Marcus Aurelius, I think it was, his army was pretty much about to be defeated by barbarians. They hadn't drunk for a few days. They'd run out of food and they're on the cusp of defeat. A priest within his ranks called for rain, and it rained so hard it washed the enemies away, and the Romans could eat. And this is actually put on a pillar in Rome, this story. It's called the rain miracle. And what's interesting about that is then the Christians then write about this, saying, it was a Christian priest that prayed for rain. But actually, if you look at the material, we actually find it was an Egyptian priest talking about it, and the soldiers were predominantly pagan, not Christian. And it's quite interesting how you not only see sort of evidence of the story that, this is what Christians did. Yeah, they were the ones writing at the time, so they took the history. But luckily there was elements left around that really allow us to be, sure that actually it was a pagan thing. But so yes, those sort of things happened. And if it didn't work, they say, well, you didn't pay me enough. I mean, you often get fortune tellers saying, I can tell you a fortune or I can make the future happen, but the more you pay me, the more likely it is to happen. It's just,
What was it? There was a time when obviously you could pay to get one of your loved ones into heaven, right?
All the time. Yeah, if you have a statue in the temple, then you're always in the presence of God, so you're definitely going to heaven.